And the camera's on. And welcome to another video where I'm going to talk about everything that I've been watching recently. It's been about 2 weeks since last time. And yeah, so we got a pretty big stack here. I'm not going to have time to talk about all of them, but we'll see how many I have time for. First of all, I'm going to start with a few titles that I've already talked about in an update, but I've not uploaded that update before because this is like a month and a half ago that I filmed the update, and there was a problem with I filmed two files, and one of the files, or one of the clip, the one clip was well, it didn't work. I can't watch it, so I don't know exactly what the problem is now. But I can't watch it, so I don't know what titles I talked about in that first clip, and I can't remember either. But in the second clip, which does work, I had a few titles too, so those I will talk about here. So yeah, I already have talked about these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 titles a month and a half ago, but you haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna do it again pretty briefly here. So we have, and also excuse me if I don't have too much to say about them. I'm sure I had more to say about them back then because I had seen them recently. Anyway, now I haven't, but first, World According to Garp, which I thought was a pretty fun movie. I can't remember, there were some parts that I didn't like too much, some parts I liked more than others. Overall it was a pretty good movie. Yeah, Robin Williams, John Lithgow, Glenn Close, so I definitely I liked it. And then this, which is a long ass movie, it's Bernardo Bertolucci's 1900, which is a 5-hour movie. It says 4 hours and 5 minutes on the back, so already I was expecting a long movie, and I set aside a Saturday to watch this. But when it's divided onto 2 discs right here, you have 2 discs stacked on top of each other, and so I watched the first part, which was 2.5 hours, and then I put in the second disc, and that was also 2.5 hours, so it's actually 5 hours. But I managed to watch it all in one day, actually. It's a great movie. It sort of chronicles the rise of fascism in Italy, and the people who are for it and the people who are opposed it or against it, and you know how it kind of clashes, I guess. But mainly about Gerard Depardieu and Robert De Niro. They sort of grew up on the same farm or in the same area, very close to each other. But Robert De Niro was born to a very privileged family, or he was very privileged because of his family's status or whatever. And Gerard Depardieu's character, he was more of a farm, more born into a farmer's family, whatever, more proletarian or whatever, the fancy words. I don't know, but a poor family basically, and that's pretty much what it is. It's called 1900 because that's when the story starts, and that I believe is when they were born. So they were born, pretty much within only minutes or hours apart, something like that. And then it documents their lives up until 1945. And I thought that it was great. Definitely enjoyed it. So that is 1900. If you want to watch a long movie with, well, yeah, I should mention also that then I recommend it. But I should mention also that it is dubbed into Italian. So yeah, the acting is not the best because it's kind of hard to make the acting believable and good when the dubbing is kind of bad and cheesy. It just kind of it clashes or whatever. But still, I enjoy the movie a lot for its storytelling and the visuals and the characters, of course. Even though the acting wasn't nothing great. But anyway, next up here is The World's Greatest Animation, which is a DVD that I found kind of randomly in the local shop months ago, at least. Yeah, I thought that it looked interesting, and this is a fairly, I'm sure it's out of print, but it's fairly expensive to get. It has a bunch of Oscar nominated and Oscar winning short films, animated films, and I definitely enjoyed watching through this. So Next up is 3-pack goofy movies. We have It's Pat, Cabin Boy, and Frank McCluskey's CI. I really just bought this for It's Pat because this 3-pack was cheaper, much cheaper than It's Pat on its own. And it's one of those movies that I've heard Cool Duder talk about. You know, not recently, but years ago he talked about it, and I was so curious about it back then, but I wasn't able to track it down. But now I ordered it and I watched It's Pat, and it's I actually kind of liked it. It's a stupid movie, but it works for what it's trying to do. It's trying to be stupid, so what's the problem really? that's what I kind of that's my take on it or whatever. But I liked it, I have to say. Cabin Boy I also liked. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, actually, interesting is a weird word to use for a movie like that, but it has all these odd elements and scenes, and it just borders on fantasy, and then it almost becomes a fantasy movie, And Frank McCluskey CI, did not like that one, not recommended. I'm not sure if I can say that I recommend these two, but if you like fun, goofy, stupid, absurdist comedy movies almost, then I recommend them. Frank McCluskey, I don't have much to say about that one. And you have It's Pat and Cabin Boy on one disc and Frank McCluskey on one. Then last one, before I start talking about a few of the titles that I have watched recently, is Bambi, Steelbook from Savi exclusive Disney. I have about 9 of these, 10 if you include Up, which is a Pixar one, but yeah, so obviously I really enjoy them. Bambi, I don't think was one of those Disney movies that I really loved as a child. To be honest though, and I've thought about this, for years, I don't think that I was a huge fan of Disney as a child. I liked a lot of the movies, but I wasn't a huge fan of the movies, and not many of them are really true classics to me, except for The Lion King. I don't know if there are any. Some Pixar movies definitely, but yeah, I don't know. Pinocchio maybe. But Bambi, I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's, I don't know, I have surprisingly few thoughts about it. I just did not enjoy it too much. I wasn't able to get into it. Just honestly though, not much happens, and I'm not really interested in the characters, and I don't know. Some of the visuals were good. Some of the animation was good. Then I have seen it before though. But then we have, like I said in my last update, I'm sure I will have this DVD this season ready for this update, because I seem to have one for each update now. But this is the last one, because this is the last season I have, and it's ER Season 6. Basically I bought all 6 seasons, all the first 6 seasons, more or less at the same time. And then I had 6 seasons to watch, and now I have seen them all. And I'm really enjoying it still. There was a point in season maybe 4 or 5 or something like that where I was thinking that, well, this show used to be better, but I enjoyed it more in this first and second season especially. Now I'm not sure about that anymore. I'm just enjoying it as much as I did back then. They keep introducing characters. It's a common thing, when they introduce a new character, when they, a character is leaving and you like the character, so you don't like the fact that that character is leaving, and usually a new character is introduced, not necessarily taking the character's place, but they need a new character, so in a way it's taking the old character's place. And you're kind of skeptical about that, about the new character, I'm not sure about that, I'm not sure if I like her or like him. But with this show, they do manage to introduce new interesting characters, I think, and since there are so many of them, they also give them some space. They don't have storylines about all of them all the time. So even though there aren't really any weak characters, I think if you were only to have a look into Mark's life or Benton's life with no breaks, you would get kind of bored, and you wouldn't enjoy it as much. That's why it's good that they can jump between the different medical staff members and see what they're up to when they're not working, and well, when they are working too. But so yeah, then we have another show here, which is Californication season 6. I mean, it's just more of the same. It used to be good, and it's not that different anymore. So I'm not sure why it's not good anymore. I guess it just tries to do the exact same things that it did before, but it doesn't. Well, it they did it better before, and now they're just sort of trying to reenact these over the top, ridiculous situations, and you've seen it all before. There's nothing new in here to offer. There are new situations, obviously new plots and stuff, and I admit that I like the Runkle and Hank, discussions, kind of graphics discussions and graphic situations they find themselves in. But other than that, it's really not a very good show anymore. Having said that, I will get season 7, which I believe will be the last one. So yeah, I'll get that when it comes out. But that season took a long time to get out, the 6th one, so I don't expect to watch the 7th one. Maybe even until 2016, who knows? And I usually don't get them right away, so maybe beginning of 2016. So yeah, I mean that's a good thing, because I still do like the show, so it will still be with me for another year and a half in that case, if you know what I mean. Anyway, then we have a movie by Wong Kar-wai, and it is Chungking Express. This was a terrific movie, highly recommended. Yeah, it's a Hong Kong movie, a Chinese movie, and it's set in sort of in the Chungking mansions, which is a sort of a multicultural neighborhood with kind of like slums, kind of cheap places, with a lot of restaurants and hotels and shops, and and it just takes place in this sort of almost subterranean neon lit world. It has a very mysterious quality to it, the visuals, in a way, these urban kind of visuals, and I just love that. Love the scenery, if you will, where they filmed it. All the stores everywhere, and all people are up to stuff. I don't know. I just really love that. And on top of that, you have great romantic romantic storylines, which is what the movie is about. Heavily. And great acting, especially from Faye Wong here on the cover. And basically it is two separate stories. First, the first story starts, and then that sort of transitions into the second one. And when it does that, once it has done that, it doesn't come back to the first one. But it's great, really, really good. There is a movie called Fallen Angels, I think. By the same director, which I found out from Quentin Tarantino on the DVD, because he's everywhere. That movie, if Wong Kar-wai was gonna do a third story in the movie, which he kind of intended at one point, I think, then it would have been Fallen Angels. So Fallen Angels can be seen as a sequel to this, and I have been meaning to watch Fallen Angels as it is, so that makes me really excited to watch that, so I'll try to get that pretty soon. Then we have a pretty shitty movie, but I did enjoy it. It's The Family, or Malavita. The book was called Malavita, and it says Malavita before the movie, but it's known as The Family. And it's a gangster film, crime comedy, but it doesn't work on either level. It doesn't work as a comedy because it's not that funny, and it doesn't work as a gangster film because I don't know, it just doesn't. It's not that type of movie. It is a comedy more than a gangster film. The gangster films stuff is sort of there to provide the comedy with what it needs, if you know what I mean. But I don't feel like I need to explain the plot or anything, but it's okay. I kind of enjoyed it. It doesn't need to be as long as it is. It's 1 hour 50 minutes. They could have shortened it, sort of tightening the knots or whatever, with shortening it with 10 minutes or so would have been a little more consistent, or a little bit more better paced or whatever. Then we have a great one here, Short Term 12. which is kind of like an independent movie based on, or well, there was a short film called Short Term 12, which I haven't seen. I don't know if the plot is the same or not, but it seems like this is well, they made a feature-length movie based on the short film. This was a really feel-good movie. It does deal with serious topics, but I definitely thought that it was pretty much a feel-good movie. This movie is definitely just, you know, it might not be the most obvious thing, but that's the thing that I'm going to talk about. It might not be, you know, the visuals in the movie might not be the most prominent thing. Because it's kind of like a a mumblecore movie, if you know what I mean. A lot of dialogue, and it's very low budget. But despite that, a lot of the visuals I really like. It kind of has a very kind of bleak, almost, you know, matte look to it, the movie, and there's just something about the look of the movie which kind of I mean, it helps the emotional part somehow. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. It was a great one. I definitely would recommend you to check this out, and I will be looking out for what this director is doing next, because this is, I believe, his debut fucking word, full-length movie. Then we have Run, Lola Run, which is a movie that I have been wanting to see for a long time. I'd heard some great things about it. It's a German movie. Yeah, this was a pretty cool movie. Basically, the plot is it's pretty simple. She, on the cover, she gets a call from her boyfriend. Within 20 minutes, he needs her to. Well, he owes a guy money, and he needs to pay him at 12 o'clock, which is in 20 minutes from when he calls her, his girlfriend. And he tells her that, you know, you need to help me get this money, and so it's a race against the clock, very much a race against the clock, where she tries to get him the money in 20 minutes, and it's, yeah, I think I can mention this. She does it 3 times, so it's kind of. I wouldn't say that it's supernatural, not really, but the clock sort of rewinds 20 minutes after she has tried to get the money the first time, and then she tries it again, and she tries it in a different way, where different things happen. It does have very much of a concept, and I don't feel like I can explain it all now, because I'm doing a horrible job anyway with that kind of stuff. But it is an interesting movie. I think there's definitely more to be seen in the movie if you watch it a second time. Some stuff I didn't get right away, and as I kept watching, as the second story, if you will, came along, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I got a bit of a better perspective on the whole thing. Anyway, but I do recommend it to check it out, because it is a pretty cool movie. I didn't love it, but it was definitely pretty good. Then we have Dead Snow, the Norwegian zombie. It says somewhere here. Oh, the best Norwegian Nazi zombie splatter film ever. And me and my cousin had a laugh about that. There is a sequel to this, and then we were like, the second best Norwegian Nazi zombie splatter film ever. Doesn't matter, but yeah, there is a sequel to this, which I did not know until recently, and I'm not too eager to watch it. If I would happen to find it cheap on DVD, yeah, sure. But this first one I had seen before, and I watched it again with my cousin, and I mean, I liked it. Well, I like it. I liked it before too. I don't think it's great, you know, but it does have some cool scenes. Definitely, and it's pretty gory. Obviously, it says splatter here, so yeah, it's not bad. I do have a few titles left, but I think I'm gonna wait with those until next time, because I've talked enough in this video. So yeah, that's it for this time, and shouldn't take too long until the next video. So yeah, thank you for watching.